Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna try to cover a little bit of 2D and 3D curve in Blender and inside Sverchok add-on. Actually, there's this one snippet of code, snippet of the node tree that I got from Sverchok GitHub. This one is by Zevi, and he made this example using the Curve Viewer 2D nodes. I hardly ever use that node actually, and this is one very interesting example. I think he used like a plane, like a polygon plane, and then he bring it into Sverchok, and then it's gonna convert it into this kind of like compound curve. This is kind of interesting, so I'll try to give it a look. So I will open Blender real quick. Okay, now so far with the curve, you might already know that I often use the Polyline Viewer. So if you use like a random vector and Polyline Viewer, it will really gonna generate a curve in a random kind of way. And you already know this. And then if you can also turn on B-spline, and you get this interesting, beautiful curve. That's what I always use. There is also Curve Viewer and Curve Viewer 2D, so it's kind of like a mysterious. There are so many nodes on Curve that I haven't used. The fact that in Blender, I think polygons is pretty robust inside Blender, but the curve, like the parametric, NURBS, and those kind of things are still kind of something that not many Blender user or Blender artists use. Unlike NURBS in Maya or Houdini, like curve is like part of the tool. But in Sverchok, in Blender, sometimes we can kind of mix and match curve and polygons. Especially in Sverchok, it's mostly Sverchok try to kind of hack the curves, I think. So it's a lot of clever nodes inside Sverchok that does deal with curve. Let's try something. So UV connections will actually give you edge data. So this is one example when you use like random vector positions and just plug it in, and then this curve viewer is kind of drawing edge for every connection, I guess, for every edge. So this is also kind of quite interesting. Maybe you actually just need something like this. You can merge it, duplicate, unique. That's curve viewer, but there's also curve viewer 2D. This one is slightly different, and you get that very easily. I think I should actually kind of flatten it somehow. So maybe I shouldn't use random vector. I can always use rewire and make a zero out the Z. So that's kind of generating curve in a way. Let's try something more sane. I guess let's try with a plane, polygon plane. Polygon plane is a simple polygon face with 4 vertices, and I'm gonna try to go to top view and kind of duplicating this a few times, just like a Zevi's example, and I'm gonna merge this into single object, Control J. So it's a single polygon, and I'm gonna bring it into Sverchok, use objects in, get selection. So we have our thing, and we can separate the polygon inside Sverchok. So polygon vertices, polygon edges, and let's try plug this into the curve viewer. So we get something that looks kind of weird. It's like a X. That's because the order for the curve, the order is very important, and I think the index, if you look at the index, currently it's a little bit messed up. That's normal. If you sometimes you need to sort the vertices, so 0, 1, 2, 3. It's supposed to be like 0, 1, 2, 3 in order to make like a proper, like a curve, loop curve. So how do we fix this? Luckily, actually, I think Zefi made also this script node topo sorting for profile. So this is, I think, great for any 2D kind of curve. This will sort out the vertices. Very, very handy. You might easily overlook this very powerful script node. So it's sorting the curve, and then now we have like a nice curve there underneath. And yes, so maybe I'll use matrix in and vector in. I kind of want to put this aside, put it there, and then use 3D cursor. Oh, actually this guy doesn't seem to like it. Okay, we have 4 value, I think, so we need to merge it maybe. Oh, it doesn't like that either. Okay. I'm gonna use matrix apply here, just like Zefi's example. Vector in. This is gonna be the transform for our curve, I think. So put it right here. There you go. So go to the top view. So let's put the 3D cursor somewhere there and then assign it. So that's actually a curve. Okay, this is a curve objects in Blender, and this is a 2D curve. It can be 3D, but we want 2D. And the 2D, this supposedly, I was expecting this to be more like a kind of like a compound curve. If we have like multiple curve like that, this one become hollow, this one is filled. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I did something, maybe something wrong. Let me try. There's some options in curve that I'm still not familiar sometimes. So there's the depth, and there's extrude, resolution, offset. All these can be controlled using Sverchok right here. So bevel and surface resolutions and stuff. Still doesn't fix the actual curve. Let's see, maybe I can try randomizing it. Randomize input vertices. Randomize in X and Y. So we have that. Seems to be generating the bevel somehow. Okay, I need to adjust that. It's kind of interesting. You can of course randomize the seed for every plane there. Random integer, range integer, plug into this guy. And how many do we have? 4. So yeah, that's what we get there. Start and step count 4. So yeah, that's actually very interesting, you know. You can quickly generate kind of like abstract looking curve. That's not actually easy to do normally in Blender. So let's delete this grease pencil. So yeah, like I said, you can start with a polygon plane that you make yourself. They should be flat because we need it for our curve viewer 2D, or we flatten it inside Sverchok anyway. And you can come out with something like this. It's seems like basic, but it's actually pretty powerful, I guess. I'm gonna save this real quick. SV curve love. Save it again. Let's say instead of making the plane ourselves, let's generate it procedurally in here. Yeah, let's do that. Plane and apply matrix. So this is plane objects, matrix apply, viewer draw, matrix. Let's make a matrix in. Random vector. Instead of matrix apply, I think there's another one. Apply, this one, matrix apply. So this one will actually generate the curve for us. So that's actually better. So that's how you go about doing this. And with random vector, we probably want to rewire this and flatten it in the z-axis, like so. And let's make this 10. 10 is a good number. You can scale it, randomize it further, randomize the seed. You can even randomize the plane here. Maybe I shouldn't use plane. Maybe I should use like a circle or something. Anyhow, this one will give us a bunch of objects, like a planar. We can turn off join, so we have like the actual 10 objects. So we don't need to separate it here. And if we plug this into that guy, we should get our curve. This guy is kind of doing the sorting, but seems like the sorting is not needed in this case. But anyway, we have this kind of a abstract looking design that we can work with. Wonder if the extrusion works. Yeah, it might not seem like anything particularly useful, but I think this is very powerful. So we can bevel it, add resolutions. That's yeah. So let's say instead of using plane, we are using like a circle, vertices and edges goes in there. So with circle we have this. Maybe we don't need to sort it for circle. We just plug that in. Edges goes in there. Oh, there is this randomizer. That's why. Now with circle we have something kind of more manageable. This is very, very interesting. Normally this is something that you wouldn't actually do inside Blender. I don't think doing this a curve compounding. You can of course randomize the radius as well. Random number generator. Float size of 10, plug in the radius and make this circle random size. So this curve viewer is doing something quite clever inside it. I'm gonna leave this guy there if we need it, otherwise we don't need to actually randomize this guy. Let's keep it simple. So this is like a bunch of circles and we pipe it into the curve viewer 2D. Remember we are using the matrix apply, and this is quite a little bit more advanced kind of topic or concept that you get familiar with after a while. So you can increase the number of circle and make sure the number of matrix is also the same. So I can increase the number and randomize the seed. So you get this interesting design, and this is a curve. You can always turn it into something else in Blender. Curve is kind of like a stepchild in Blender. So it's not like a polygon. You can't do everything using curve, but a curve is also very useful for a lot of things. Remesh, viewer, solidify. Yeah, can't think of anything. But anyway, this is like a circle compound being generated on the fly inside Blender using Sverchok add-on, and this is pretty unusual, I think. If you like curve, I like curve. I used to like use Adobe Illustrator a lot, and also like Inkscape. What's the other one? Freehands, CorelDRAW. I like curve, and I used to just work with NURBS as well in Maya, but then in Blender we don't have many curve things, so a lot of things I actually find it again using Sverchok. So this is pretty useful. Yeah, especially something like this. You see, this is like kind of beautiful design for me. This is like you can make like a chair or something. Yeah, but a lot of possibilities here, even though it seems like random. Yeah, that's how I think I will use the Curve 2D viewer, Curve Viewer 2D. Maybe you can have a look in the documentations as well. So Curve Viewer 2D and the Polyline Viewer, they're gonna give like two different things. Just keep that in mind. You have both, and they're pretty handy for a lot of things. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this live loading. It's pretty random. Hopefully you find this useful. I guess I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.